Hello Internet, Lieutenant Ellis here with the 299 Scouts. Dangerous skills for dangerous places. We're still on lockdown, the range is still closed, so we're not able to practice the way we want to practice. So for drill number 15, we're going to continue on with our home pistol training, and we're going to be covering the compressed high ready. So for marksmanship and getting absolute accurate first round shots on target, absolutely. Full extension, full presentation, high ready. Front sight focus, arms locked out, being able to manage that recoil at full presentation. But there's a time and a place when we're going to have to bring this back in, and we're going to have to go back into what's called our compressed high ready. So if somebody's within striking distance, arm's distance of me, I'm going to definitely bring this weapon in closer to me because it gives me more leverage and makes it harder for them to take it away from me. Anybody who does martial arts knows how easy it is to take a gun away from somebody when they're out full presentation like that. So if I'm anywhere near people, I like to bring the weapon in closer, tighter to my body. Gives me more leverage, gives me more options in terms of protecting this weapon, protecting myself. If I'm doing CQB and I'm pieing the corners and working and clearing my own home, there's a time and a place where I'm going to have full presentation and I'm going to be pieing that corner. Other options though, other times, I might have to bring this in closer to myself because I don't want this weapon being too close to that corner where I can, as I'm working that corner, somebody can come around there and grab it from me and avert my muzzle. So, as I'm coming up on a compressed corner like that, or like a doorway, I might bring the weapon in closer, tighter to my body. Weapon manipulations, once again, also easier to do up here, closer to me, than they are further out here. I recommend you watch that in our earlier video of how we do our weapon manipulations. And finally, just better situational awareness. Consider this like traveling Overwatch. As you're moving through, enemy contact is likely, but you're not exactly in the fight yet. So keeping the weapon oriented towards where the likely enemy threats are, but still being able to unlock your head from that tunnel vision that you might get if you're staring down your sights the whole time clearing through your house. Bring it back here, lets you relax a little bit, be able to scan and assess, and have better situational awareness. So for compressed high ready, I could come straight from my isosceles position and come straight back in, and I could fire from this position and be just fine. The gun would recoil, I wouldn't be eating shells, I wouldn't slap myself in the chest with a slide or anything like that. It'd be just fine. In fact, for the military, a couple of the stages in competition require you to fire with your elbows in contact with your body, just to reinforce you and teach you that you can get effective hits on target at contact distances without utilizing your sights. The problem though is that with the gun coming straight like this, it creates this break in my wrist, this bend in my wrist, where the gun is going to recoil and it's not going to have anything supporting it. It's just going to recoil as against my strength of my hand, I guess. So what I like to do is I do all the same things. I set the pins from the front to the back. I drive with my thumb, so I'm pointing with my thumb towards the target, but I just give myself a half homie, a rotation of my wrist a little bit, and I orient it towards the target like this. But now my pistol is aligned with my wrist, which is aligned with my elbow, just like standard fundamentals, and I can manage recoil much better at this compressed position, and I can still index towards my target and get those hits. So now this position of looking over my weapon, oriented towards the threat, still indexed towards the target, and I can still engage from this position, is adapted from the combat high position from Center Axis Relock, which was developed by Paul Castle back in the early 2000s. Now Paul Castle, he was really far out there with all of his ideas. With Center Axis Relock, he had ideas where you could fire from this position. If somebody tried to grab your gun, you could keep your weapon safe and away from them, and then come up and you could use your off eye and blade yourself towards the target, bringing that sight within reading distance, and get accurate shots on target, throughout the whole continuum of firing here, and then all the way out to full extension. He had a lot of really far out ideas in there, and I think he died in 2011, and I think he died a little bit before he gained credibility for those, considering that he was an armed police officer in the UK and was a firearms and SWAT trainer throughout the United States. Yeah, he had like a traveling show where he went around critiquing and retraining a bunch of law enforcement.
First, he was an unarmed bobby who became a police captain. Then he served the Queen of England as a bodyguard. He trained with Special Forces and the FBI. Today, Paul Castle is one of America's leading SWAT instructors, a tough Englishman who became America's biggest friend and patriot.
He's a gangster guy, he's well up in my face in his position.
He'll prove that many bad guys have more skills than many officers.
I think that he kind of just died a little bit before you could really gain credibility. All the videos you see of this are all like old grainy VHS tapes, and it really doesn't lend a lot of credibility to the style. But the important thing to remember with this is I don't believe that I don't believe that Paul Castle was trying to make this the be-all, end-all technique. I think what he was trying to do is just give you one more tool in your toolbox. And so I've done just that. You know, like while I prefer to fire isosceles, and even while moving, I still try to, you know, maintain front sight focus isosceles training. There's going to be times when I'm going to be brought back into that compressed high ready, and I utilize the combat high position where I'm right here, ready to fire, looking over my weapon, engage the threat. If I need to, as you saw from my moving while shooting video, I can come up, and I don't use my off eye, I don't use my my non-dominant eye. I still use my dominant eye, but I'm utilizing that same kind of stance that you see in those Center Axis Relock VHS tapes, old grainy footage. So if we take this aspect of Center Axis Relock and we kind of, you know, for now ignore the high position firing from your hip and like the one where you're firing on your off eye, and we just utilize, we take what we want from it, which is I like this combat high position as a method of engagement. Somewhere between draw, fire from retention, firing from this compressed high ready, and then full presentation out towards the target, firing throughout the whole step until we get front sight focus and full extension. Today we're going to be covering a drill where we go through all three of those positions. We fire compressed high ready against a near target, Center Axis Relock adapted towards a medium target, and then when it becomes time to have a front sight focus clean shot on a small hard to hit target, right out to isosceles, and then being able to go through the entire continuum of distance and accuracy requirements. For what it's worth, first shot on target, 1.29. I could probably get that down because I'm not aiming. This is just index fire, point shooting, within arm's distance of a bad guy, just pointing the gun at them and shooting. So that's drill number 15, compressed high ready. And like any lifelong martial artist that travels to China and learns Kung Fu and goes to Japan and learns Aikido or something, and then goes to America and does American boxing, you should be able to take the tools and put them in your toolbox that are applicable and are relevant and reasonable, and throw away all the silliness. But you shouldn't go into every situation just saying, oh, that's different from what I learned. Try to broaden your horizons, try to keep your eyes and your ears open, and be open to somewhat unconventional techniques. Alright, keep training, and hopefully the live fire range opens up soon and we can try some of this stuff live. Alright, good luck.